Okay, so what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Shout out to my guy Kamal in the chat. The time right now where I'm at is about 8:10 p.m. It is March 10th, 2026, and we are continuing our 20th book in our Book to React series. This is episode 4 of Invisible Man, a novel by Ralph Ellison, one of the finest works of African American literature ever put to page. It's been a while since I've been on stream reading this book. I've been reading this book off and on for a class that I'm in titled Race, Gender, in Post-Colonial American Lit, which, if you don't know, post-colonial is just the code word for black at the university I go to here in Budapest, Hungary. So anything post-colonial is just black, or to be more frank, non-white. So yeah, I'm in this class and I had a run-in with the teacher recently I've been talking about on this channel. My teacher was in class using the hard ER. Teacher was in class using the hard ER, and I got an update on that story. I have a very important update on that story that I will cover in another live stream. Not today, but overall, all I have to say is that your boy put in work and I spanked that teacher up, and I got the whole administration to bow. Got the whole administration to bow, bow, bow. So that's what we did. Anyway. We're going to be reading chapter 3 today of Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. This is a book that I surely love, and if you haven't seen the previous episodes that we've been covering on this channel for this book, then you need to go watch the 3 other episodes, okay? Because they are fucking dope. They are absolutely dope, and this book is dope. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and hopefully you enjoy it too. Shout out to A2AM Vincent up in the chat. Shout out to everybody else up in the live stream who's going to be joining this conversation as we delve through these pages. Without further ado, let's jump into chapter 3. I'm going to try to finish it all. I have some work to do at around 9:30. I have work to do at 9:30, so we might not be able to finish all of chapter 3 in this one sitting, but we will come back to it, I promise, today. Okay? Without further ado, let's get into it. Chapter 3. I saw them as we approached the short stretch that lay between the railroad tracks and the golden day. At first, I failed to recognize them. They straggled down the highway in a loose body, blocking the way from the white line to the frazzled weeds that bordered the sun-heated concrete slab. I cursed them silently. They were blocking the road, and Mr. Norton was gasping for breath. Ahead of the radiator's gleaming curve, they looked like a chain gang on its way to make a road. But a chain gang marches a single file, and I saw no guards on horseback. As I drew nearer, I recognized the loose gray shirts and pants worn by the veterans. Damn, they were heading for the golden day. A little stimulant I heard behind me. In a few minutes, sir. Up ahead, I saw the one who thought he was a drum major strutting in front, giving orders as he moved energetically in a long hip-swinging strides. A cane held above his head, rising and falling as though in time to music. I slowed the car as I saw him turn to face the men, his cane held at chest level as he shortened the pace. The men continued to ignore him, walking along in a mass, some talking in groups and others talking and gesticulating to themselves. Suddenly, the drum major saw the car and shook his cane baton at me. I blew the horn, seeing the men move over to the side as I nosed the car slowly forward. He held his ground, his legs braced, hands on hips, and to keep from hitting him, I slammed on the brakes. The drum major rushed past the men toward the car, and I heard the cane bang down upon the hood as he rushed toward me. Who the hell you think you are, running down the army? Give the countersign. Who's in command of this outfit? You trucking bastards was always too big for your britches. Countersign me. This is General Pershing's car, sir, I said, remembering hearing that he responded to the name of his wartime commander-in-chief. Suddenly, the wild look changed in his eyes, and he stepped back and saluted with stiff precision. Then, looking suspiciously into the back seat, he barked, "Where's the general?" "There," I said, turning and seeing Mr. Norton, raising himself, weak and white-faced, from the seat. "What is it? Why have we stopped?" "The sergeant stopped us, sir." "Sergeant? What sergeant?" He sat up. "Is that you, General?" the vet said, saluting. "I didn't know you were inspecting the front lines today." "I'm very sorry, sir." What? Mr. Norton said. The general's in a hurry, I said quickly. Sure is, the vet said. He's got a lot to see. Discipline is bad. Artillery shot to hell. Then he called the men walking up the road. Get the hell out of the general's road. General Pershing's coming through. Make way for General Pershing. He stepped aside, then I shot the car across the line to avoid the men and stayed there on the wrong side as I headed for the golden day. Who was that man? Mr. Norton gasped from the back seat. A former soldier, sir, a vet. They're all vets, a little shell-shocked. But where is the attendant? I don't see one, sir. They're harmless, though. Nevertheless, they should have an attendant. I had to get him there and away before they arrived. So, this is what I understand from this part. Maybe this is commentary about how America doesn't take care of its vets, particularly after their World War II. After the World War II vets, many Americans go and fight in senseless, useless wars, like in Korea, like in Vietnam, or like they will be sent into Iran very soon. Many Americans will be dying in Iran, I promise you that. And many of them are going to come back missing arms, legs, and their mind. They will be coming back fucked up. They're going to send back a lot of fucked up soldiers. And then what do we have to show for it? Nothing for them. Because then we defund the VA. We defund military benefits. We defund all sorts of healthcare for not only citizens, but also for our veterans as well. That's what America does. So that's what I'm assuming that part of the text is about. How America doesn't take care of its veterans. Anyway, shout out to David Lazok up in the chat. Shout out to David Lazok showing love. Appreciate you joining the conversation. And let's continue here in reading Invisible Man chapter 3. So this was their day to visit the girls, and the golden day would be pretty rowdy. I wondered where the rest of them were. There should have been about 50. Well, I would rush in and get the whiskey and leave. What was wrong with Mr. Norton anyway? Why should he get that upset over True Blood? I had felt ashamed, and several times I had wanted to laugh, but it made him sick. Maybe he needed a doctor. Hell, he didn't ask for any doctor. Damn that bastard True Blood. I would run in, get a pint, and run out again, I thought. Then he wouldn't see the golden day. I seldom went there myself, except with some of the fellows when word got out that a bunch of new girls had arrived from New Orleans. The school had tried to make the golden day respectable, but the local white folks had a hand in it somehow, and they got nowhere. The best the school could do was to make it hot for any student caught going there. Okay, so the golden day is the name of a brothel. A name of a brothel where they got the finest of whores. The finest of whores you can find at the golden day. Continuing here. He lay like a man asleep as I left the car and ran into the golden day. I wanted to ask him for money, but decided to use my own. At the door, I paused. The place was already full, jammed with vets in loose gray shirts and trousers and women in short, tight-fitting, stiffly starched gingham aprons. The stale beer smell struck like a club through the noise of voices and the jukebox. Just as I got inside the door, a stolid-faced man gripped me by the arm and looked stonily into my eyes. It will occur at 5:30, he said, looking straight through me. What? The great all-embracing absolute armistice, the end of the world, he said. Before I could answer, a small, plump woman smiled into my face and pulled him away. It's your turn, Doc, she said. Don't let it happen till after me and you done been upstairs. How come I always have to come get you? No, it is true, he said. They wirelessed me from Paris this morning. Then, baby, me and you better hurry. There's lots of money I got to make in here before that thing happens. You hold it back a while, will you? She winked at me as she pulled him through the crowd toward the stairs. I elbowed my way nervously toward the bar. Many of the men had been doctors, lawyers, teachers, civil service workers. There were several cooks, a preacher, a politician, and an artist. One very nutty one had been a psychiatrist. Whenever I saw them, I felt uncomfortable. They were supposed to be members of the professions toward which at various times I vaguely aspired myself. And even though they never seemed to see me, I could never believe that they were really patients. Sometimes it appeared as though they played some vast and complicated game with me and the rest of the school folk, a game whose goal was laughter and whose rules and subtleties I could never grasp. Two men stood directly in front of me, one speaking with intense earnestness, and Johnson hit Jeffries at an angle of 45 degrees from his lower left lateral incisor, producing an instantaneous blocking of his entire thalamic rind. frosting it over like the freezing unit of a refrigerator, thus shattering his autonomous nervous system and rocking the big brick-laying cream puff with extreme hyperspasmic muscular tremors, which dropped him dead on the extreme tip of his coccyx, which in turn produced a sharp traumatic reaction in his sphincter nerve and muscle. And then, my dear colleague, they swept him up, sprinkled him with quicklime, and rolled him away in a barrel. Naturally, there was no other therapy possible. Okay, so basically, he's in this whorehouse with all these, fancy middle-class bourgeoisie people. He's going into this whorehouse to get some alcohol for his, white patron who he's driving around through the, backwaters of this, rural town that houses this HBCU that the main character is going towards. So for anybody who wants to know what the fuck is happening, if you didn't read the previous chapters or you're just joining, that's what's happening. Continuing here. Excuse me, I said, pushing past. Big Haley was behind the bar, his dark skin showing through his sweat-wet shirt. What you saying, schoolboy? I want a double whiskey, Haley. Put it in something deep so I can get it out of here without spilling it. It's for somebody outside. His mouth shot out. Hell nah. Why? I asked, surprised at the anger in his thyroid eyes. You still up at that school, ain't you? Sure. Well, those bastards is trying to close me up again. That's why. You can drink till you blue in the face in here, but I wouldn't sell you enough to spit through your teeth to take outside. But I've got a sick man out in the car. What car? You never had no car. The white man's car. I'm driving for him. Ain't you in school? He's from the school. Well, who's sick? He is. He too good to come in? Tell him we don't Jim Crow nobody. But he's sick. He can die. He's important. Haley, a trustee. He's rich and sick, and if anything happens to him, they'll have me packed and on my way home. Can't help it, schoolboy. Bring him inside and he can buy enough to swim in. He can drink out of my own private bottle. He sliced the white heads off a couple of beers with an ivory paddle and passed them up the bar. I felt sick inside. Mr. Norton wouldn't want to come in here. He was too sick. And besides, I didn't want him to see the patients and the girls. Things were getting wilder as I made my way out. Supercargo, the white uniformed attendant who usually kept the men quiet, was nowhere to be seen. I didn't like it, for when he was upstairs, they had absolutely no inhibitions. I made my way out to the car. What could I tell Mr. Norton? He was lying very still when I opened the door. Mr. Norton, sir, they refused to sell me whiskey to bring out. He lay very still. Mr. Norton. He lay like a figure of chalk. I shook him gently, feeling dread within me. He barely breathed. I shook him violently, seeing his head wobble grotesquely. His lips parted, bluish, revealing a row of long, slender, amazingly animal-like teeth. Sir, shout out to Spider6767. Shout out to Spider67 up in the chat, our new moderator. Spider67, make sure you share this content, get more people up in the live stream as we continue to read Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. So he's driving the white man. He goes to the bar with the whorehouse, and he comes back to the car where the white man is because the bartender doesn't want to sell him a drink to take outside. He opens the door, and possibly the old white man is dead. Okay, let's find out what happened. So, in a panic, I ran back into the golden day, bursting through the noise as through an invisible wall. Haley, help me, he's dying. I tried to get through, but no one seemed to have heard me. I was blocked on both sides. They were jammed together. Haley, two patients turned and looked me in the face, their eyes 2 inches from my nose. What is wrong with this gentleman, Sylvester, the tall one said. A man's dying outside, I said. Someone is always dying, the other one said. Yes, and it's good to die beneath God's great tent of sky. He's got to have some whiskey. Oh, that's different, one of them said, and they began pushing a path to the bar. A last bright drink to keep the anguish down. Step aside, please. Schoolboy, you back already? Haley said. Give me some whiskey. He's dying. I done told you, schoolboy, you better bring him in here. He can die, but I still got to pay my bills. Please, they'll put me in jail. You going to college, figure it out, he said. You better bring the gentleman inside, the one called Sylvester said. Come, let us assist you. Okay? So we fought our way out of the crowd. He was just as I left him. Look, Sylvester, it's Thomas Jefferson. I was just about to say, I've long wanted to discourse with him. I looked at them speechlessly. They were both crazy, or were they joking? Give me a hand, I said. Gladly. I shook him. Mr. Norton, we'd better hurry if he's to enjoy his drink, one of them said thoughtfully. We picked him up. He swung between us like a sack of old clothes. Hurry. All right, shout out to Spider in the chat, blocking people. Spider, make sure that we're only blocking people or putting people on timeout that are just not contributing to the discussion intelligently. People that are just coming in here to troll or be racist or sexist or just, any sort of the isms that are negative. Let's just keep it like that. Let's just not blanket ban anybody, Spider, okay? But continuing here. So as we carried him in toward the golden day, one of the men stopped suddenly, and Mr. Norton's head hung down, his white hair dragging in the dust. Gentlemen, this man is my grandfather, but he's white. His name's Norton. I should know my own grandfather. He's Thomas Jefferson, and I'm his grandson. One of the field N-word side. Okay, on the field N-word side, the man said. Sylvester, I do believe that you're right. I certainly do, he said, staring at Mr. Norton. Look at those features, exactly like yours, from the identical mold. Are you sure he didn't spit you upon the earth, fully clothed? No, that was my father, the man said earnestly, and he began to curse his father violently as we moved from the door. Haley was there waiting. Somehow he'd gotten the crowd to quiet down, and a space was cleared in the center of the room. The men came close to look at Mr. Norton. Somebody bring a chair. Yeah, let Mr. Eddie sit down. That ain't no Mr. Eddie, man. That's John D. Rockefeller, someone said. Here's a chair for the Messiah. Stand back, y'all, Haley ordered. Give him some room. Burnside, who had been a doctor, rushed forward and felt for Mr. Norton's pulse. It's solid. The man has a solid pulse. Instead of beating, it vibrates. That's very unusual. Very. Someone pulled him away. Haley reappeared with a bottle and glass. Here, some of y'all tilt his head back. Okay, so they bring this, passed out white man into the bar, and they're all sort of making jokes. He looked like Thomas Jefferson. He looked like Jesus. Okay. Go into the comments. Spider says, yeah, because that mean guy was being so rude to you. I appreciate that, Spider. Spank anybody who you think is out of line. I appreciate you, Spider, for being a solid soldier, a solid moderator soldier. I appreciate that. Y'all put some respect on Spider's name. He's out here spanking y'all. If y'all want to be rude, mean, anti-black, racist, retarded, whatever, he will get you. Shout out to Spider. New moderator, big dog. He's a big dog. Anyway, continuing here. And before I could move, a short, pock-marked man appeared and took Mr. Norton's head between his hands, tilting it at arm's length, and then pinching the chin gently like a barber about to apply a razor, gave him a sharp, swift movement. Pow! Mr. Norton's head jerked like a jabbed punching bag. 5 pale red lines bloomed on the white cheek, glowing like fire beneath translucent stone. I could not believe my eyes. I wanted to run. A woman tittered. I saw several men rush for the door. Cut it out, you damn fool. A case of hysteria, the pock-marked man said quietly. Get the hell out of the way, Haley said. Somebody get that stool pigeon attendant from upstairs. Get him down here quick. A mere mild case of hysteria, the pock-marked man said as they pushed him away. Hurry with the drink, Haley. Yeah, schoolboy, you hold the glass. This here's brandy I've been saving for myself. Okay? Someone whispered tonelessly into my ear. You see, I told you that it would occur at 5:30. Already the creator has come. It was the stolid-faced man. Okay. So this guy that went upstairs to go lay with a whore comes back down after telling everybody Armageddon's coming at 5:30. He comes back downstairs and sees almost a dead white man on the floor and says, I told you Armageddon came. Anyways, this is a little bit funny. Anyway, Spider is telling y'all, everyone like and subscribe. I appreciate that, Spider. Spider, be sure to tell everybody to like and subscribe, and y'all should follow Spider's warning. Y'all should follow Spider's instructions. Y'all should follow his intentions. He is a great, great man. Spider is a great man or woman. Who knows what he is? Non-binary person. It's okay. Continuing here. So, I saw Haley tilt the bottle and the oily amber of brandy sloshing into the glass. Then, tilting Mr. Norton's head back, I put the glass to his lips and poured. A fine brown stream ran from the corner of his mouth down his delicate chin. The room was suddenly quiet. I felt a slight movement against my hand, like a child's breast when it whimpers at the end of a spell of crying. The fine-veined eyelids flickered. He coughed. I saw a slow red flush creep, then spurt up his neck, spreading over his face. Hold it under his nose, schoolboy. Let him smell it. I waved the glass beneath Mr. Norton's nose. He opened his pale blue eyes. They seemed watery now in the red flush that bathed his face. He tried to sit up, his right hand fluttering to his chin. His eyes widened, moved quickly from face to face. Then, coming to mine, the moist eyes focused with recognition. "You were unconscious, sir," I said. "Where am I, young man?" he asked wearily. "This is the Golden Day, sir." "What? The Golden Day? It's a kind of sporting and gambling house," I added reluctantly. "Now give him another drink of brandy," Haley said. I poured a drink and handed it to him. He sniffed it, closed his eyes as in puzzlement, then drank. His cheeks filled out like small bellows. He was rinsing his mouth. "Thank you," he said, a little stronger now. "What is this place?" "The Golden Day," said several patients in unison. He looked slowly around him, up to the balcony, with its scrolled and carved wood. A large flag hung lank above the parlor. He frowned. "What was this building used for in the past?" he said. "It was a church, then a bank, then it was a restaurant and a fancy gambling house, and now we got it," Haley explained. "I think somebody said it used to be a jailhouse, too." "They let us come here once a week to raise a little hell," someone said. "I couldn't buy a drink to take out, sir, so I had to bring you inside," I explained in dread. He looked about him. I followed his eyes and was amazed to see the varied expressions on the patients' faces as they silently returned his gaze. Some were hostile, some cringing, some horrified. Some, who when among themselves were most violent, now appeared as submissive as children, and some seemed strangely amused. All right? "Are all of you patients?" Mr. Norton asked. "Me, I just runs the joint," Haley said. "These here other fellows. We're patients, sent here as therapy," a short, fat, very intelligent-looking man said. "But," he smiled, "they send along an attendant, a kind of censor, to see that the therapy fails." "You're nuts in a dynamo of energy. I come to charge my batteries," one of the vets insisted. "I'm a student of history, sir," another interrupted with dramatic gestures. "The world moves in a circle like a roulette wheel. In the beginning, black is on top, the middle apex, the white holds the odds, but soon Ethiopia shall stretch forth her noble wings. Then place your money on the black." His voice throbbed with emotion. "Until then, the sun holds no here. Until then, the sun holds no heat. There's ice in the heart of the earth. 2 years from now, and I'll be old enough to give my mulatto mother a bath. The half-white bitch," he added, beginning to leap up and down in an explosion of glassy-eyed fury. Okay, so basically everybody in the Golden Day is insane. You got wild, messianic, black nationalists, proto-Rastafarians. You got wounded, like CTE suffering soldiers, you know what I mean? It's just a big mess, you know what I mean? And of course, the whores, top whores in the Golden Day in Invisible Man. Go into the comments. Spider says, "Guys, somebody talk. Guys, somebody talk." Yes, y'all can talk. Y'all can have conversations up in the live stream, even though we are trying to educate the people, you know what I mean, by reading this historical text. You can still have a conversation in the chat, and everybody will get a shout out. Oh, pardon. Sorry. But maybe some people just want to listen to the book. It's possible that some people just want to listen to the book. Sorry, I have bad allergies. It's springtime, so allergies kicking my ass. They're kicking my ass right now. Anyway, continuing here. So, Mr. Norton blinked his eyes and straightened up. "I'm a physician. May I take your pulse?" Burnside said, seizing Mr. Norton's wrist. "Don't pay him no mind, sir. He ain't been no doctor in 10 years. They caught him trying to change some blood into money." I did too, the man screamed. I discovered it, and John D. Rockefeller stole the formula from me. Mr. Rockefeller, did you say? Mr. Norton said. I'm sure you must be mistaken. What's going on down there? A voice shouted from the balcony. Everyone turned. I saw a huge black giant of a man, dressed only in white shorts, swaying on the stairs. It was Supercargo, the attendant. I hardly recognized him without his hard starched white uniform. Usually he walked around threatening the men with the straitjacket, which he always carried over his arm, and usually they were quiet and submissive in his presence. But now they seemed not to recognize him and began shouting curses. How you gonna keep order in the place if you gon' get drunk? Haley shouted. Charlene. Yeah, a woman's voice, startling in its carrying power, answered sulkily from a room off the balcony. I want you to get that stool-pigeoning, joy-killing, nut-crushing bum back in there with you and sober him up. Then get him in his white suit and down here to keep order. We got white folks in the house. A woman appeared in the balcony, drawing a woolly pink robe about her. Now you listen here, Haley, she drawled. I'm a woman. If you want him dressed, you can do it yourself. I don't put on but one man's clothes, and he's in New Orleans. Okay? All right. Shout out to E-Ride at Austria. Shout out to E-Ride at Austria up in the chat, and everybody out there who's coming in. Okay? E-Ride Austria is asking, so I love someone, but I don't know what to tell her or him, and I don't know if she loves me. I don't know, man. E-Ride Austria, what you need to do is just go and approach her like a man or a woman. If you're a woman and you like somebody, all you need to do is come up and say, hey, big boy. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. You drop them 2 bars. No, three words on a man. Hey, big boy. And if he a man, he gonna jump up on it. He gonna jump up on it. If he ready for that jelly, he gonna jump up on it. For real. Now, if you a man, you gotta work on your game. You gotta work on your game. You gotta work on your mouthpiece. If you're a man, you gotta work on your mouthpiece if you want women. That's all it takes. Just talk to them like they're human. Just talk to them like they are human. Okay? Because it's hard. Women don't get treated like they're human often. I'm gonna continue here. Never mind all that. Get that stool pigeon sober. I want order down there. I want order down there, Supercargo boomed. And if there's white folks down there, I wants double order. Suddenly, there was an angry roar from the men back near the bar, and I saw them rush the stairs. Get him. Let's give him some order. Out of my way. 5 men charged the stairs. I saw the giant bend and clutch the post at the top of the stairs with both hands, bracing himself, his body gleaming bare in his white shorts. The little man who had slapped Mr. Norton was in front, and as he sprang up the long flight, I saw the attendant set himself and kick, catching the little man just as he reached the top, hard in the chest, sending him backwards in a curving dive into the midst of the men behind him. Supercargo got set to swing his legs again. It was a narrow stair, and only one man could get up at a time. As fast as they rushed up, the giant kicked them back. He swung his leg, kicking them down like a fungo hitter batting out flies. Watching him, I forgot Mr. Norton. The golden day was in an uproar. Half-dressed women appeared from the rooms off the balcony. Men hooted and yelled at a football game. I want order, the giant shouted as he sent a man flying down the flight of stairs. They're throwing bottles of liquor, a woman screamed. Real liquor. That's an order he don't want, someone said. A shower of bottles and glasses, splashing whiskey, crashed against the balcony. I saw Supercargo snap suddenly erect and grab his forehead, his face bathed in whiskey. "Ee!" he cried. "Ee!" Then I saw him waver, rigid, from his ankles upward. For a moment, the men on the stairs were motionless, watching him. Then he sprang forward. Supercargo grabbed wildly at the balustrade as they snatched his feet from beneath him and started down. His head bounced against the steps, making a sound like a series of gunshots as they ran, dragging him by his ankles, like volunteer firemen running with a hose. The crowd surged forward. Haley yelled near my ear. I saw the men being dragged toward the center of the room. Give the bastard some order. Here, I'm 45 and he's been acting like he's my old man. So you like to kick, huh? A tall man said, aiming a shoe at the attendant's head. The flesh above his right eye jumped out as though it had been inflated. Then I heard Mr. Norton beside me shouting, no, no, not when he's down. Listen at the white folks, someone said. He's the white folks' man. Men were jumping upon supercargo with both feet now, and I felt such an excitement that I wanted to join them. Even the girls were yelling, give it to him good. He never pays me. Kill him. Please, y'all, not here, not in my place. You can't speak your mind when he's on duty. Hell no. Somehow, I got pushed away from Mr. Norton and found myself beside the man called Sylvester. Watch this, schoolboy, he said. See there where his ribs are bleeding? I nodded my head. Now don't move your eyes. I watched the spot as though compelled, just beneath the lower rib and above the hip bone, as Sylvester measured carefully with his toe and kicked as though he were punting a football. Supercargo let out a groan like an injured horse. Okay, this is horrific. This is horrific. I don't know what's the point of this section. Once again, I read this book like years ago. And these heavily violent scenes make me feel like, why don't I remember them? Why don't I remember the scene where Supercargo got his ass whooped? I feel like this story is sort of like a reverse Alice in Wonderland. You know, Alice goes through the hole in the ground, right? And, you know, is in this upside down world. What it feels like is like this white man, Norton, is being led into this upside down Negro world by the main character, you know what I mean, who is just trying to keep the peace and try to protect the white man and shield him from the nastiness of Negrodom. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm getting from this section, but I don't know if I'm wrong. And you tell me if I'm wrong. That's how I'm interpreting this. Because them just jumping on Supercargo like this just makes me feel like it's like one of those fights in the club that you used to see. You know what I mean? Back in the day. I don't know. None of y'all who listen to my channel actually like grew up in the South. Y'all didn't grow up going to the club. And after, you know, at least 1 a.m., you know, like how J. Cole was talking about on his new album, they either start shooting or fighting. And that was always, I was always there. I was always there in the club. I wasn't always throwing hands, but I used to be outside at the club. They fighting in the parking lot or shooting in the parking lot. You get what I'm saying? Or fighting in the middle of the dance floor. You get what I'm saying? Because I was coming up in 05, 06, 07, where if you were coming up in Louisiana, Mississippi, Kentucky, Texas at that time, that was mandatory. That was mandatory that it go down. That was mandatory it go down when they played Knuck If You Buck. You get what I'm saying? And that's what I'm getting from the Supercargo scene. They fighting at the club. They throwing shit. They throwing bows. Anyway, Sylvester says, try it, schoolboy. It feels so good. It gives you relief. Sylvester said, sometimes I get so afraid of him, I feel that he's inside my head. There, he said, giving Supercargo another kick. As I watched, a man sprang on Supercargo's chest with both feet, and he lost consciousness. They began throwing cold beer on him, reviving him, only to kick him unconscious again. Soon he was drenched in blood and beer. The bastard's out cold. Throw him out. Nah, wait a minute. Give me a hand, somebody. They threw him upon the bar, stretching him out with his arms folded across his chest like a corpse. Now let's have a drink. Haley was slow in getting behind the bar, and they cursed him. Get back there and serve us, you big sack of fat. Give me a rye. Up here, funk buster. Shake them sloppy hips. Okay, take it easy, Haley said, rushing to pour them drinks. Just put y'all's money where your mouth is. With Supercargo lying helpless upon the bar, the men whirled about like maniacs. The excitement seemed to have tilted some of the more delicately balanced ones too far. Some made hostile speeches at the top of their voices against the hospital, the state, and the universe. The one who called himself a composer was banging away the one wild piece he seemed to know on the out-of-tune piano, striking the keyboard with fists and elbows and filling in other effects in a bass voice that moaned like a bear in agony. One of the most educated ones touched my arm. He was a former chemist who was never seen without his shining Phi Beta Kappa key. All right. Shout out to Calais Vani, #1. Shout out to Kale Vani up in the chat. He or she says, hello, how are you? I'm doing fine, doing pretty great, doing well. Up here, just trying to do my weekly reading of the Book to React series. This time we're reading chapter 3 of Invisible Man. And we're at the scene where they're beating up Supercargo, literally trying to kill him in the club. Anyway, the men have lost control, he said, through the uproar. I think you better leave. I'm trying to, I said, as soon as I can get over to Mr. Norton. Mr. Norton was gone from where I had left him. I rushed here and there through the noisy men, calling his name. When I found him, he was under the stairs. Somehow he had been pushed there by the scuffling, reeling men, and he laid sprawled in the chair like an aged doll. In the dim light, his features were sharp and white, and his closed eyes well-defined, lines in a well-tooled face. I shouted his name above the roar of the men and got no answer. He was out again. I shook him gently, then roughly, but still no flicker of his wrinkled lids. Then some of the milling men pushed me up against him, and suddenly a mass of whiteness was looming 2 inches from my eyes. It was only his face, but I felt a shudder of nameless horror. I had never been so close to a white person before. In a panic, I struggled to get away. With his eyes closed, he seemed more threatening than with them open. He was like a formless white death, suddenly appeared before me, a death which had been there all the time and which had now revealed itself in the madness of the golden day. Stop screaming, a voice commanded, and I felt myself pulled away. It was the short, fat man. I clamped my mouth shut, aware for the first time that the shrill sound was coming from my own throat. I saw the man's face relax as he gave me a wry smile. That's better, he shouted into my ear. He's only a man. Remember that. He's only a man. I wanted to tell him that Mr. Norton was much more than that he was a rich white man and in my charge, by the way. But the very idea that I was responsible for him was too much for me to come to put into words. Let us take him to the balcony, the man said, pushing me toward Mr. Norton's feet. I moved automatically, grasping the thin ankles as he raised the white man by the armpits and backed from beneath the chairs. Mr. Norton's head lolled upon his chest as though he were drunk or dead. The vet started up the steps, still smiling, climbing backwards a step at a time. I had begun to worry about him, whether he was drunk like the rest, when I saw 3 of the girls who had been leaning over the balustrade, watching the brawl, come down to help us carry Mr. Norton up. Looks like Pops couldn't take it, one of them shouted. He's high as a Georgia pine. Yeah, I tell you this stuff, Haley. Got out here is too strong for white folks to drink. Not drunk, ill, the fat man said. Go find a bed that's not being used so he can stretch out a while. Show, Daddy. Is there any other little favors I can do for you? That'll be enough, he said. One of the girls ran up ahead. Mine's just been changed. Bring him down here, she said. In a few minutes, Mr. Norton was lying upon a 3-quarter bed, faintly breathing. I watched the fat man bend over him very professionally and feel for his pulse. You a doctor? A girl asked. Not now, I'm a patient, but I have a certain knowledge. Another one, I thought, pushing him quickly aside. He'll be all right. Let him come too so I can get him out of here. Okay, what I think is the purpose of this scene, how Mr. Norton is just so dainty, he's just so frail, he's sickly and everything, and all the black patrons in this whorehouse are essentially doing everything they can to make him feel better. Sure, they're making some jokes at his expense, laughing, calling him Thomas Jefferson, whatever, but literally they're beating down another black man and another section of this bar, literally to death. And meanwhile, Mr. Norton, who is just, about to faint because he's just so frazzled by the day's events that, people are coming up to him and treating him well. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting from this section. But that's how I interpret it. What do you think? Pardon. These allergies, man. These allergies killing me. Woo, Lord. Pardon. Okay. Anyway. Continuing here. So, you needn't worry. I'm not like those down there, young fellow, he said. I really was a doctor. I won't hurt him. He had a mild shock of some kind. We watched him bend over Mr. Norton again, feeling his pulse, pulling back his eyelid. It's a mild shock, he repeated. This here golden day is enough to shock anybody, a girl said, smoothing her apron over the smooth, sinuous roll of her stomach. Another brushed Mr. Norton's white hair away from his forehead and stroked it, smiling vacantly. He's kind of cute, she said, just like a little white baby. What kind of old baby? The small, skinny girl asked. That's the kind, an old baby. You just like white men, Edna, that's all, the skinny one said. Edna shook her head and smiled as though amused at herself. I sure do, I just love him. Now this one, old as he is, he could put his shoe under my bed any night. Oh, Lord Jesus, nasty, nasty. She sounded like one of them Nigerians on 90 Day Fiancé. Shucks, me, I'd kill an old man like that, the other one said. Kill him nothing, Edna said. Girl, don't you know that all these rich old white men got monkey glands and billy goat balls? These old bastards don't never get enough. They want to have the whole world. The doctor looked at me and smiled. See, now you're learning all about endocrinology, he said. I was wrong when I told you that he was only a man. It seems now that he's either part goat or part ape. Maybe he's both. It's the truth, Edna said. I used to have me one in Chicago. Now you ain't never been to no Chicago, gal, the other one interrupted. How you know I ain't 2 years ago? Shucks, you don't know nothing. The old white man right there might have him a couple of jackass balls. The fat man raised up with a quick grin. As a scientist and a physician, I'm forced to discount that, he said. That is one operation that has yet to be performed. Then he managed to get the girls out of the room. If he should come around and hear that conversation, the vet said, it would be enough to send him off again. Besides, their scientific curiosity might lead them to investigate whether he really does have a monkey gland. And that, I'm afraid, will be a bit obscene. I've got to get him back to the school, I said. All right, he said. I'll do what I can to help you. Go see if you can find some ice. And don't worry. I went out on the balcony, seeing the tops of their heads. They were still milling around, the jukebox banged, the piano thumping, and over at the end of the room, drenched with beer, Supercargo lay like a spent horse upon the bar. Starting down, I noticed a large piece of ice glinting in the remains of an abandoned drink and seized its coldness in my hot hand and hurried back to the room. The vet sat staring at Mr. Norton, who now breathed with a slightly irregular sound. You were quick, the man said as he stood and reached for the ice. Swift with the speed of anxiety, he added, as if to himself. Hand me that clean towel there, from beside the basin. I handed him one, seeing him fold the ice inside it and apply it to Mr. Norton's face. Is he all right? I said. He will be in a few minutes. What happened to him? I took him for a drive, I said. Did you have an accident or something? No, I said. He just talked to a farmer and the heat knocked him out. Then he got caught in the mob downstairs. How old is he? I don't know, but he's one of the trustees. One of the very first, no doubt, he said, dabbing at the blue-veined eyes. A trustee of consciousness. What was that, I asked? Nothing. There now, he's coming out of it. I had an impulse to run out of the room. I feared what Mr. Norton would say to me, the expression that might come into his eyes, and yet I was afraid to leave. My eyes could not leave the face with its flickering lids. The head moved from side to side in the pale glow of the light bulb, as though denying some insistent voice which I could not hear. Then the lids opened, revealing the pale pools of blue vagueness that finally solidified into points that froze upon the vet, who looked down unsmilingly. Shout out to Spider67 up in the chat. Shout out to Spider67 up in the chat, showing love. All right, continuing here. Woo. Sorry about that. Springtime is here, that's for sure. All right. Quick water break. Men like us did not look at a man like Mr. Norton in that manner, and I stepped hurriedly forward. He's a real doctor, sir, I said. I'll explain, the vet said. Get a glass of water. I hesitated. He looked at me firmly. Get the water, he said, turning to help Mr. Norton to sit up. Outside, I asked Edna for a glass of water, and she led me down the hall to a small kitchen, drawing it from a green old-fashioned cooler. I got some good liquor, baby, if you want to give him a drink, she said. This will do, I said. My hands trembled so that the water spilled. When I returned, Mr. Norton was sitting up unaided, carrying on a conversation with the vet. Here's some water, sir, I said, extending the glass. He took it. Thank you, he said. Not too much, the vet cautioned. Your diagnosis is exactly that of my specialist, Mr. Norton said, and I went to several fine physicians before one could diagnose it. How did you know? I, too, was a specialist, the vet said. But how? Only a few men in the whole country possess the knowledge. Then one of them is an inmate of a semi-madhouse, the vet said. But there's nothing mysterious about it. I escaped for a while. I went to France with the Army Medical Corps and remained there after the armistice to study and practice. Oh, yes. And how long were you in France? Mr. Norton asked. Long enough, he said, long enough to forget some fundamentals which I should never have forgotten. What fundamentals? Mr. Norton said. What do you mean? The vet smiled and cocked his head. Things about life, such things as most peasants and folk peoples almost always know through experience, though seldom through conscious thought. Pardon me, sir, I said to Mr. Norton, but now that you feel better, shouldn't we go? Not just yet, he said. Then to the doctor, I'm very interested. What happened to you? A drop of water caught in one of his eyebrows glittered like a chip of active diamond. I went over and sat on a chair. Damn this vet to hell. Are you sure you would like to hear? The vet asked. Why, of course. Then perhaps the young fellow should go downstairs and wait. The sound of shouting and destruction welled up from below as I opened the door. No, perhaps you should stay, the fat man said. Perhaps had I overheard some of what I'm about to tell you when I was a student up there on the hill, I wouldn't be the casualty that I am. Sit down, young man, Mr. Norton ordered. So you were a student at the college, he said to the vet. I sat down again, worrying about Dr. Bledsoe as the fat man told Mr. Norton of his attending college, then becoming a physician and going to France during the World War. Were you a successful physician? Mr. Norton said. Fairly so. I performed a few brain surgeries that won me some attention. Then why did you return? Nostalgia, the vet said. Then what on earth are you doing here in this, Mr. Norton said, with your ability? Ulcers, the fat man said. That's terribly unfortunate. But why should ulcers stop your career? Not really, but I learned along with the ulcers that my work could bring me no dignity, the vet said. Now you sound bitter, Mr. Norton said, just as the door flew open. A brown-skinned woman with red hair looked in. How's white folks making out? She said, staggering inside. White folks, baby, you done come too. You want a drink? No, not now, Hester, the vet said. He's still a little weak. He sure looks it. That's how come he needs a drink. Put some iron in his blood. Not now, Hester. Okay. But what y'all doing looking like you at a funeral? Don't you know this is the golden day? She staggered toward me, belching elegantly and reeling. Just look at y'all. Here schoolboy looks like he's scared to death. And white folks here is acting like y'all's two strange poodles. Be happy, y'all. I'm going down and get Haley to send you up some drinks. She patted Mr. Norton's cheeks as she went past, and I saw him turn a glowing red. Be happy, white folks. Aha, the vet laughed. You're blushing, which means that you're better. Don't be embarrassed. Hester is a great humanitarian, a therapist of generous nature and great skill, and the possessor of a healing touch. Her catharsis is absolutely tremendous. Ha! You do look better, sir, I said, anxious to get out of the place. I could understand the vet's words, but not what they conveyed, and Mr. Norton looked as uncomfortable as I felt. The one thing which I did know was that the vet was acting toward the white man with a freedom which could only bring on trouble. I wanted to tell Mr. Norton that the man was crazy, and yet I received a fearful satisfaction from hearing him talk as he had to a white man. With the girl, it was different. A woman usually got away with things a man never could. This is how I'm interpreting the vet, being the one working on the white man. Back in the day, they used to have veterinarians be the doctors for black people as slaves. And that was because they viewed us as animals. What I'm looking at this book as as, you know, Mr. Norton, the white guy, the old trustee of the university, is being driven around by our protagonist, who is nameless, by the way. He's being taken into the upside down, bizarro world of Negro living in the mid 20th century in the deep, poor, rural South. And he is being greeted with all these weird characters and going through some extreme, weird circumstances. And yeah, being met with some of the weird peculiarities of what it meant to be black at that time. So at that time, you know, maybe not explicitly at that time, but vets were used as doctors for black people, and that's what's happening to this white man in this chapter. Anyway, I'm going to continue here. So, I was wet with anxiety, but the vet talked on, ignoring the interruption. Rest, rest, he said, fixing Mr. Norton with his eyes. The clocks are all set back and the forces of destruction are rampant down below. They might suddenly realize that you are what you are, and then your life wouldn't be worth a piece of bankrupt stock. You would be canceled, perforated, voided, become the recognized magnet attracting loose screws. Then what would you do? Such men are beyond money, and with supercargo down, out like a felled ox, they know nothing of value. To some, you are the great white father, to others, the lyncher of souls. But for all, you are confusion come even into the golden day. What are you talking about? I said, thinking, lyncher. He was getting wilder than the men downstairs. I didn't dare look at Mr. Norton, who made a sound of protest. The vet frowned. It is an issue which I can confront only by evading it. An utterly stupid proposition, and these hands, so lovingly trained to master a scalpel, yearned to caress a trigger. I returned to save life, and I was refused, he said. 10 men in mass drove me out from the city at midnight and beat me with whips for saving a human life. And I was forced to the utmost degradation because I possessed skilled hands and the belief that my knowledge could bring me dignity, not wealth, only dignity, and other men health. Okay, so this guy wants to be a doctor. He was a doctor in, you know, the war, came back from the war, back to the South because he was nostalgic for it, and is trying to be a helpful doctor to his community. And then the KKK comes and starts whipping on him, degrading him. And now I think he really hates white folks, and I think he's going to murder Mr. Norton right here in this chapter. I don't know. Let's find out. Then suddenly he fixed me with his eyes. And now do you understand? What? I said. What you've heard. I don't know. Why? I said. I really think it's time we left. You see, he said, turning to Mr. Norton, he has eyes and ears, a good distended African nose, but he fails to understand the simple facts of life. Understand? Understand? It's worse than that. He registers with his senses, but short circuits his brain. Nothing has meaning. He takes it in, but he doesn't digest it. Already he is, well, bless my soul, behold, a walking zombie. Already he's learned to repress not his humanity. He's invisible, a walking personification of the negative, the most perfect achievement of your dreams, sir, the mechanical man. Okay, so now we're getting back to the main theme, and this is why I love this book so much, because the vet is saying here, like, listen, this guy who is the driver, the protagonist, he is thoughtless. He is incapable of being able to be seen for being himself or capable of being his true self, because he is so obsessed with living in the box laid out for him by the dominant society, right? And so he has become the negative to the positive, which is the portrait of a man, which is full humanhood, which can only be expressed in an Afro-pessimist sense through whiteness. The only true humans are white, and therefore the only people that are non-humans in this world are fully black people, right? This is an Afro-pessimist point of view. It's not my point of view, but I'm just interpolating this book, or I'm interpreting the text of this book of The Invisible Man. So that's what he is saying here. And I find that to be so interesting and fascinating, how this is a precursor to Afro-pessimist thought. And I'm so glad that reading this book after years apart from it, I'm now reading into it new context that is very profound and still very helpful for our world. I'm going to continue here. So, Mr. Norton looked amazed. Tell me, the vet said, suddenly calm, why have you been interested in the school, Mr. Norton? Out of a sense of my out of the sense of my destined role, Mr. Norton said shakily. I felt and still feel that your people are in some important manner tied to my destiny. What do you mean destiny, the vet said. Why, the success of my work, of course, I see. And would you recognize it if you saw it? Why, of course I would, Mr. Norton said indignantly. I've watched it grow each year I've returned to the campus. Campus? Why the campus? It is there that my destiny is being made. The vet exploded with laughter. The campus, what a destiny. He stood and walked around the narrow room laughing. Then he stopped as suddenly as he had begun. You will hardly recognize it, but it is very fitting that you came to the golden day with the young fellow, he said. I came out of illness, or rather, he brought me, Mr. Norton said. Of course, but you came, and it was fitting. What do you mean? Mr. Norton said with irritation. A little child shall lead them, the vet said with a smile. But seriously, because you both fail to understand what is happening to you, you cannot see or hear or smell the truth of what you see. And you looking for destiny. It's classic. And the boy, this automaton, he was made of the very mud of the region, and he sees far less than you. Poor stumblers, neither of you can see the other. To you, he is a mark on the scorecard of your achievement, a thing and not a man, a child, or even less, a black amorphous thing. And you, for all your power, are not a man to him, but a god, a force. Once again, powerful paragraph. I can't believe I remember I love this book, but I forgot these paragraphs. That is such a powerful paragraph. To this young black boy, the nameless protagonist of this book, he, whether he wants to admit it or not, looks to Mr. Norton, the trustee, the investor, the founder of this grand, historically black university. He looks at him as a god. And the white man looks back at the black boy as just a part of his legacy, an extension of his magnanimity, his humanity, his greatness, his glory, right? And it's just so vivid how Ralph Ellison is able to tie these two subjectivities together, you know what I mean? And show the absurdism within all of this. I love this book so much for these paragraphs like this, which are so profoundly done. It's so dope. Anyway, Mr. Norton stood abruptly. Let us go, young man, he said angrily. No, listen, he believes in you as he believes in the beat of his heart. He believes in that great false wisdom taught slaves and pragmatists alike, that white is right. I can tell you his destiny. He'll do your bidding, and for that his blindness is his chief asset. He's your man, friend. Your man and your destiny. Now the two of you descend the stairs into chaos and get the hell out of here. I'm sick of both of you, you pitiful obscenities. Get out before I do both the favor of bashing in your heads. I saw his motion toward the big white pitcher on the washstand and stepped between him and Mr. Norton, guiding Mr. Norton swiftly through the doorway. Looking back, I saw him leaning against the wall, making a sound that was a blending of laughter and tears. Hurry, the man is as insane as the rest, Mr. Norton said. Yes, sir, I said, noticing a new note in his voice. The balcony was now as busy as the floor below. The girls and drunken vets were stumbling about with drinks in their hands. Just as we went past an open door, Edna saw us and grabbed my arm. Where you taking white folks, she demanded. Back to school, I said, shaking her off. You don't want to go up there, white folks, baby, she said. I tried to push past her. I ain't lying, she said. I'm the best little homemaker in the business. Okay, but please let us alone, I pleaded. You'll get me into trouble. We were going down the stairs into the milling men now, and she started to scream. Pay me then. If he's too good for me, let him pay. Okay? All right? All right, so shout out to Spider67. We will end the live when we finish the chapter. We are here doing a live reading. This is a book club. If you're not here for the book club, you can go and come back and watch and read the chapter later. But this is not for people that are not interested in the text. On this channel, we read books and we review movies. It's pretty much what we do, essentially. So if you don't like that, go on and get. Go on and get. Continuing here. So, and before I could stop her, she had pushed Mr. Norton, and the both of us were stumbling swiftly down the stairs. I landed against a man who looked up with the anonymous familiarity of a drunk and shoved me hard away. I saw Mr. Norton spin past as I sank farther into the crowd. Somewhere I could hear the girl screaming and Haley's voice yelling, "Hey, hey, hey now." Then I was aware of fresh air and saw that I was near the door and pushed my way free and stood panting and preparing to plunge back to Mr. Norton. And when I heard Haley calling, "Make way, y'all," and saw him piloting Mr. Norton to the door. "Whew," he said, releasing the white man and shaking his huge head. "Thanks, Haley," I said, and got no further. I saw Mr. Norton, his face pale again, his white suit rumpled, topple and fall, his head scraping against the screen of the door. "Hey," I opened the door and raised him up. "God damn it, out again," Haley said. "How come you bring this white man here, schoolboy? Is he dead?" "Dead," he said, stepping back indignantly. "He can't die." "What'll I do, Haley?" "Not in my place, he can't die," he said, kneeling. Mr. Norton looked up. "No one is dead or dying," he said acidly. "Remove your hands." Haley fell away, surprised. "I sure am glad. You show you all right? I thought you show was dead this time." Okay. Haley started speaking like a house Negro. Okay. Anyway. "For God's sake, be quiet," I exploded nervously. "You should be glad that he's all right." Mr. Norton was visibly angry now, a raw place showing on his forehead, and I hurried ahead of him to the car. He climbed in unaided, and I got under the wheel, smelling the heated odor of mints and cigar smoke. He was silent as I drove away. All right. And that's the end of chapter 3. I thought that chapter was a bit funny, very dark, not as dark as chapter 2 when that man was talking about sleeping with his own daughter. That was not good. But I found that chapter very, very funny. Once again, nailing home the point about subjectivity, the point of view it determines Black life, right? But in all perspectives of Black life, it can never truly be seen. Hence, it is invisible. And the title of this book, being what it is, explains explanations need to go no further. That's all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this live stream. Shout out to everybody who joined this live stream. After we finish chapter 3, we will try to read chapter 4 tomorrow. I will have some time tomorrow to read that. Let me give a shout out to everybody who joined the live stream chat. Let me give a shout out to Spider67, Kalavani #1, E-Ride at Austria, David Lazok, A2M Vincent, and Kamal. Let me give a shout out to everybody over there. Let me check out what happened with this poll. Okay. Let me see what happened with this other poll. All right. Okay, I can't see the poll results. I know we got 12 votes, but I can't see the poll results for some reason. Okay. So the poll results that we have 12 votes. 12 votes. All right, 12 votes. The top is no amount of money can stop hate at 42%. 25% said, man, it's still fuck Donald Trump. 33% said, yes, money can stop racism. And on the horizontal live stream, I have 1 vote for yes, money can stop racism, and the other one says fuck Donald Trump. So it's a toss-up on who actually won the poll. So I don't know. Anyway, y'all be easy out there, and peace.